Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Professor Maria DeRosa. I'm a professor in the chemistry department at Carleton University, and I'm the Dean of Science here at our wonderful university. A dean, basically, what my job is to work with amazing people, faculty, staff, to try to deliver the best quality programs in science for all of the students that are in our faculty. And today I'm joined by students and an amazing associate dean you'll get to meet in a minute. And we're really just delighted that you've decided to join us today virtually to learn a little bit more about Carleton Science and to see if it's the right fit for you. First thing I just wanted to say is that Carleton's campus is on the unceded territory of the Algonquin people, and we're really so privileged to have such an amazing campus. Honestly, I hope one day we can all host you in person. But as I mentioned, we're really, really happy that you could join us virtually today to learn a little bit more about our programs. So what I wanted to say today, a couple things. I think you probably have more than one question floating around in your mind right now. And one type of question is about, is science what I want to do moving forward? And the other question we hope is Carleton the right place for me to do that science degree? So I want to just talk really briefly about the first question before I try to show you all the great things that are going on at Carleton Science, and you could hear from students so that you could decide what works for you. So for me, I think I would argue that there's no better time to start a science education. The world really needs science right now. We're on the cusp of some major decisions that need to be made that are going to really impact our future. Decisions about things like climate change, food security, mental health, how to stay connected in a virtual world. All these types of questions, we need the answers to those questions to be informed by evidence. And that is something you will learn in a science education. So no matter what you choose within a science education, you're going to be equipped to really go out there and make a difference in the world. So if that speaks to you and you say, I think science is what I really want to do, then why not come and do it with us at Carleton University in our Faculty of Science? So I'm hoping you can see some slides right now. They're really just some visuals that are going to guide the next 2 minutes or so of my speaking before I let you talk to the people I think you really want to meet, and those are the students. So why should you choose Carleton Science if you are, keen on taking this next step in your education in this direction? First thing I want to stress is that here at Carleton, our top priority is giving you that experience. So it's called experiential learning, learning by doing. You can't really be a scientist if you don't get to do the things that scientists do. And in our faculty, this is our top priority. We do this in a number of different ways. One kind of really exciting way to do that is to participate in the growth of science. That's research. So at Carleton, you're learning what's the state of the art in whatever field that you're interested in. But perhaps more exciting, we're giving you opportunities, even coming right out of first year, where you can be involved in the research that's shaping what people will be learning, a few years from now. So I think that's a really key, positive point that comes from Carleton University's Faculty of Science. Besides that, within your programs, there are all sorts of opportunities for you to get that hands-on experience, whether it be in our state-of-the-art labs, which I'm going to talk about in a second, or out in the field, earth science, often at the Grand Canyon, biology out on the water, all sorts of different opportunities for you to get that really hands-on feel. Another place that you might not think about is the idea of having practice communicating about science. And we have some really, really great programs that are going to give you that experience so that you can go out and actually make changes with the knowledge that you have. For example, interdisciplinary science and practice. If you have a chance to go check out their booth, you'll see that it's all about how can we take our science knowledge and actually apply it and use it in the real world. So we want you to do this. We want you to learn in the classroom, but then take what you learn and actually apply it. I mentioned our spaces. I mentioned our campus, and really we are so fortunate to have an amazing campus, beautiful nature, especially in the fall. But inside this campus, we've really loaded it up with state-of-the-art spaces and top line equipment so that you can get the science education that's going to set you up for success in your career. We have amazing labs, for example, the Super Lab in chemistry. In the health science building, we have state-of-the-art lab facilities with amazing microscopes for things like neuroscience and health science. And then again, I really want to stress that science doesn't only happen in the lab. It could be going out into the field, and we have lots of opportunities for that within our programs. I mentioned earth science, biology. All of our programs have some sort of component that allow you to get out there. So we're excited about science. We're excited about our space. If we really want science to make a difference, we need everybody working towards a common goal. Science is for everyone. And maybe traditionally, there have been big groups of people who've been excluded from science. And this is something we're really working to rectify at Carleton. We have a big focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion in all of our programs. We have it as a focus within the faculty. And so we're really trying to foster a community where everyone feels like they have a voice, everyone can participate in the full enterprise of science, and have those doors open to them for their future. And this is something we do within our classroom. We're working on inclusive practices in the classroom, within our research, and even in the way that we're dealing with each other. So things like a big focus on mental health, a big focus on community, this kind of aspect. Carleton is a place that was founded because of the community. The community helped launch Carleton University, and we've stayed true to that this whole time. And we do it not only because it's the right thing to do, but because access to the community, interacting with the community makes for a better science education. So the sorts of things that we do every day with our community members, this is a real bonus and a real add-on that we are able to offer you in our programs. Things like the Chemistry Magic Show, Butterfly Show, Brain Awareness Week, Brain and Mental Health Art Show, Science Cafes, Geo Heritage Day, all these different ways that we take our students and engage them in the community. This again sets them up with the skills that is going to lead them to success as they move on, whatever the field is that they end up focusing on. So I've talked for a little too long. The last thing I want to say is about our focus on student success. And I think this is something that you'll come to realize if you're able to come and join us on this campus. We are dedicated to making sure that everyone can reach their full potential. And the whole human, not just the academic side, but everything about the human. And we have a really amazing success center, Science Student Success Center, and we have really great people who are focused specifically on that. And one of those people I'm going to introduce now. This is Professor Kim Hellman. She's the Associate Dean of Recruitment, Retention, and Student Success. And she's going to take us to the next part of this event, which is going to allow us to really, chat with students, ask them questions, and show this real focus, as I mentioned, on student success. So I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to turn it over to Kim.
Thank you, Maria. And bonjour, welcome. Good morning, everybody. I'm really delighted to be talking with you today. As Maria mentioned, my name is Dr. Kim Hellman. My pronouns are she and her. And I'm a faculty member in the Department of Neuroscience. And what I study is how cannabis impacts the brain. And I also study cannabis use among student populations. And I also study student mental health and well-being, and in particular, how their mental health impacts their well-being in the classroom. So as an associate dean in this space, I'm very well poised to oversee the Science Student Success Center, which is really what my main role here is as an associate dean. So I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about the Science Student Success Center and what that means for you as a prospective student coming to Carleton. And then I'm going to introduce our wonderful students here and ask them a few questions so you can get a sense of what it's like to be a Carleton Science student. So as I mentioned, the Science Student Success Center, or the SSSC as we call it, is a great space, both physically and now virtually on campus, to promote student success academically and in their career pursuits, right? And we know that the hardest transition for university students is that first year. It's really difficult. Sometimes you're leaving your home, you're coming to a new country or a new city, you're leaving your social supports back in your home place, or even if you're at home, we know that coming to university can be really challenging. It's a very different space and type of learning than high school, particularly now. So the Science Student Success Center was built to kind of nurture that transition from high school to university, but we also provide a lot of support to students as they progress throughout their degree. So we provide academic supports, networking events, social activities, and really providing a lot of information on how to get involved at research on campus. So Dean DeRosa talked a lot about that focus on experiential learning, and sometimes students are like, how do I get involved, right, outside of my classwork? And so the SSC Mentors are there to provide a lot of that information. We also, and this is really important for us in that post-COVID space, we have what's called the Summer Match-Up Program, which means that any prospective or first-year student can get matched up with an upper-year mentor, and that sort of, again, helps ease that transition into university. The mentors, as you'll hear, have a wealth of knowledge. They are selected based on their ability to succeed in our programs and sort of really be engaged and involved with the campus and clubs and societies. So they're really there as experts in that space. And they can provide some strategies on how to study, right? It's really, really difficult, as I mentioned, to transition in university. And they've been there. They have those strategies. We're there for you as well as professors. Don't get us wrong there. We are also really committed to your success, but those mentors are your peers, right? And that's really, we know that peer support, it's been shown in the research to be really, really crucial for student success. Importantly, the SSSC also has a number of programs to get you prepared for your coursework in the summers. These are things like Math Matters, Chem Matters, and Comp Matters for computer science students. And again, we know that there's been some potential learning gaps with the remote learning. These programs are really well designed to get you prepared for those first-year university classes. So we really strongly suggest that if students need that sort of extra little boost, that they are definitely we have these programs that are helpful for that. Throughout the school year, we have lots of programs and workshops that can help students sort of get ready for various elements of their career or their program. So things like how to get into medical school is one of them, how to format a lab report using the command line. I don't know what that means. I'm not a computer scientist, but I'm sure they know what they're talking about. How to study for a science exam, right? Those lab exams are a bit different. And of course, the center offers a lot of resources for students who are interested in healthcare and any career that's related to science. So again, I can sit here and talk, but really who you need to hear from are the students. They are the best people to really speak about what to expect on campus. So I'm going to take a few seconds to introduce our students here today, and then I've got some crafted questions to pull out what it's like to be a science student. So first of all, we have mentor number one is Vaishnavi Dinesh. She's a second-year computer science student with a minor in business. So I should mention that we do have the opportunity to curate your degree program. You can take a major, and then we've got lots of really cool minors that you can take to sort of really focus in on a potential career. So then we've got Anjali Patel, who's also a second-year computer science student with a minor in criminology and criminal justice and a minor in math. Wow. So I'm sure she's well poised to talk about all those academic programming elements. Mentor number three is one of my students, Jordan Gadi. She's a third-year neuroscience and mental health student. And another one of my students, Sarah Hassan, who's a second-year neuroscience combined honors with biology. So in neuro, we have the two overall programs, neuro and mental health, and neuro combined honors. So without further ado, Vaishnavi, you're first up. Can you tell us, what do you think is the most important thing students should be thinking about when choosing their university and their program?
First of all, hello, Kim. Hi, everybody. What I prefer is that we need to list down our interests first, especially when we're in high school itself, because that way we get an idea as to, what we like and everything. And then one of the main important things is sit and research each university and each program which the university offers. We definitely have to spend some time regarding that because every university might have the same program, but what they offer is different. Like what was special about Carleton was there was an option to take a minor in anything I liked, which really interested me. That's what made me interested in taking a degree in Carleton. So yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. And I saw somebody posted in the chat a very similar question. How do I know what I'm interested in? And yeah, and great advice there. And just a note to say that if you start in a program in a BSc and you take some course, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm actually interested in biochemistry. You can switch. We have lots of different ways in which we can have students switching. It's easier within a degree, right? So you can pretty easily switch from biochem to a chem or to a biology or a neuroscience degree. It's a little bit more tricky when you're going outside the degree, but it's always possible. And we've seen several students come from the arts into a science and vice versa. So we're just here to support your path, whatever it may be at Carleton. So take advantage of all the courses that we have on offer. Take things that you're really interested in, and inevitably you'll strike your path. Thank you, Vaishnavi. So Anjali, when you were in high school, what was your biggest worry or concern about university, and how did you overcome it?
Choosing a university is a very crucial decision because it not only impacts your career but also personal growth. When I was in high school, I started searching for universities. I made a list of universities and colleges, and by the end, like considering all the factors, I decided to join Carleton. The question that would I be able to get into this university made me worry a lot. Like, mainly because my results were very fluctuating in the last year of high school. So to overcome this, I made a whole planning about it, like how much do I need to get on result and make sure that I secure my admission in Carleton. How much do I need to study, which subjects I need to focus on more, and now I'm finally at Carleton.
Hooray! Thank you for that, Anjali. And I see somebody's posted in the chat, knowing a little bit about our biotech programs. So we do have a biotech that is under the Department of Biology. So it's programmed under biology. And then we've got another one that's under biochemistry. So I would highly recommend, if you're interested in learning more about those, that you attend the biology or biochemistry booths. I'm not sure, Maria, maybe towards the end you can say a little bit more. But yeah, we have a really neat biotech, and we're thinking about trying to kind of kickstart some entrepreneurial elements within these programs, which in collaboration with what's called the Innovation Hub on campus, which is sort of like a space to sort of think about your ideas with regard to anything, any entrepreneurial event. But biotech would be a great space for that as well. Okay, Sarah, thinking back to your last year or two, 2 years ago at this time, why did you choose to do your undergraduate degree at Carleton?
Yeah, honestly, I think for picking the university, my personal take on it was to find which university will give me the most support academically, financially, and also personally. And I think Carleton provided all of these things for me. And obviously this came with like research. That's how I was able to find out that Carleton will give all these support services. But to kind of walk you through, I guess, my journey briefly, financially, I found out that Carleton keeps your entrance scholarship all 4 years of your undergrad, which was crucial for me. For student support services, they have the SSC, and there's so many clubs that are so invested in your success academically and socially as well. So that is, that's why I chose Carleton.
Mm-hmm.
And for picking my undergraduate degree, I honestly wasn't looking to move out of Ottawa. And so I only had Ottawa or Carleton to choose from. And it was only Carleton that had a neuroscience undergraduate degree. Ottawa doesn't have that. So yeah, that is briefly why I picked Carleton and why I picked neuroscience. But I would say to kind of go back to how to find that program that you like, I looked up all of the course descriptions for these programs, and I found that, which ones like excited me, which ones really like, I found mentally stimulating. And then I decided that that would be the right program for me. And really, it's a trial and error. It's okay if you don't pick the right thing from the beginning. You'll get opportunities to change for sure.
Great point, Sarah. And yeah, I think Carleton does have a reputation of having we're a very student-centered, student services focused campus. We have the Paul Menton Center for students with disabilities. So we provide a lot of supports and accommodations for students who enter our campus walls and might need a little bit more supports. And I also want to shout out that Sarah and I is doing a research study with me right now. We're studying compassion and flexibility in the classroom. We got a small grant to look at this, along with her sister who's in engineering. So that's just an example of how students can get involved with research both in the classroom and in the lab. There's lots of these really wonderful ways to get involved with what we do on campus. So Jordan, over to you. What kinds of student clubs or organizations are you involved in? Speaking of what Sarah was talking about, and do you have any advice about joining them?
Yeah, so first of all, Carleton has like 300 clubs or something crazy like that. We really have a club or society for everyone. So there's lots to choose from. A few that I've been involved in since the start of my journey at Carleton, I guess. One is being a mentor at the Science Student Success Center. I get to, mentor younger students and run super fun events and workshops like that for science students, which is something I absolutely love. I've been doing it for 2 years. I'm also the vice president. I'm one of the vice president external, or one of the executives with our Science Student Society. So we're just a society that represents all science students from all departments. And I get to work with all like other smaller clubs in science to, again, run events, advocate for students. It's a super great opportunity. And then a little bit on a different lane, I also just like to play intramural ultimate frisbee. It's something I've been doing since first year, and I absolutely love it. I've gotten to meet some really awesome people through joining clubs and sports and societies. My biggest piece of advice is don't worry what everyone else is doing. If you see something that you're like, hey, that sounds kind of cool, just go for it. There's so many different ways to get involved in clubs and societies. You can be like a first year rep, you can volunteer, you can be an executive. There's lots of different like avenues to join clubs and societies. So if you see something that kind of piques your interest, don't worry about what everyone else is doing, or don't worry if you don't know anybody in it, because that's where I met most of my greatest like friends and stuff now in third year was in those clubs and societies. So they're really great opportunities. So really make sure you like take a look at them and see what you'd be interested in.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, and there's good research that shows that those social connections on campus with these clubs and societies really promote student success as well, right? So that gives you a sense of identity within your campus and as a Carleton student. So we often recommend to students, maybe in their first year, they try one or two. You don't want to overpack your plate, especially as you're transitioning to university, but certainly to get involved and to meet students that have similar interests as you. That's what I loved about university, right? High school, everybody's kind of similar, and then you come to university, it's like, whoa, I went to McGill and it was like Montreal. I was like, oh my goodness. I came from Barrie, Ontario, so it was like eyes wide open there. All right, Sarah, last question for you, and we've got some great questions in the chat that Maria's addressing, so keep them coming. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice about starting university, what would it be?
Honestly, that's one of the hardest questions to answer, just because there is so much that you could say, but I would say just take it slow. It's okay if you feel overwhelmed. It's okay if things are a little hectic right now. You don't know which program, you don't know, which university, if you're going to stay in the same city, if you're going to leave that city. It's a lot to think about. It's okay. Take it slow. And I would say also, don't try to, like Jordan said, don't do everything that everyone's doing just because they're doing that. I think that it's important to like do things that are right for you. And yeah, other than that, I would say if you have questions, always ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you're confused. But again, my number one piece of advice, take it slow, take it easy, and you'll get there eventually.
Fantastic. Well, we still have a few minutes. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. I think we've heard from our fantastic students some really great answers to these questions, and they really are doing a wonderful job of showcasing all the incredible things at Carleton Science. So we've got Vanya's wondering, what is the one thing you would tell international students to keep in mind with applying? Is there anybody there? One of the students can speak to that. Vaishnavi, go ahead.
So in case of international students, we have a lot of factors involved, which is there's scholarships, residence, accommodation, and most importantly, the community, because you're coming home, you're very far away from home. In my case, I was in Dubai, so that's like a very far, it's very far away. And that's why it's very important, that, there's a community here. And that's why Carleton actually attracted me as well, because there's so many people here and it's not like there's only one culture. Everybody's so different here. And, it's beautiful and the campus is amazing. But what I would suggest is do keep in mind about the scholarships, because that's what's important for us international students. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Yeah, and certainly, Anjali, if you've got something to add, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add something. Being an international student, I highly recommend get connected to the ISSO, that is International Student Services Office. I personally, me and Vaishnavi both, we
Yes.
are academic volunteers over there, and ISSO has a lot of resources for international students. Just mail them about all of your questions,
Yes.
any of your concerns to them, and they'll be always there to help you. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
I was
thing I
going to
wanted to
And
add.
boost
also
the
like
ISSO.
Kim had said about the SSSC summer matchup, that was one of the greatest ways how I got connected to university. Because in my first year, I had no idea, especially because my first year was entirely virtual. But because of the SSSC, I got an idea like, okay, this is how university is. And my mentor, he actually helped me. He was like, you should take part in clubs and societies. That way you won't be totally invested in studies and stuff. So the summer matchup is a great way. Sorry. So yeah, those are some things, which
Yeah, and for those of you that are joining that are not from Ottawa and even further afar, come like Dubai, Ottawa is cold, yes, right? So you're going to need to have your winter
yes,
woolies. That can be a bit of a shock from our students who come from warmer
yes,
climates. But I want to mention that Carleton also has an extensive tunnel system. I don't know if anybody's mentioned
yes,
that to you. And in non-COVID times, and we're hoping for that soon. You can get anywhere on campus virtually by going underground. And indeed, our students can travel from their residence rooms all the way to their classroom. I take advantage of that because I run to work, so I run commute. So I'm able to not wear heavy winter boots. I run in and I've got all my shoes in my office.
yes,
And I just want to emphasize how beautiful our campus is. We've got the two rivers that connect on campus. It freezes in the winter. We have an ice skating. It freezes and it turns into the canal system turns into a big long rink. So it's right on the campus. You can literally put on your skates, strap them on, head downtown on your skates and grab a beaver tail, which is a fried snack. It's not actually a beaver tail; it's like a donut, and you're good to go. So there's just the beauty of Carleton's campus. I cannot emphasize how lovely it is. So I'm sure Vishnavi and Anjali, did you learn how to skate? Not yet.
I haven't even witnessed snow yet, so I am hoping for that. Yes,
Oh,
I
wow.
am.
Yes. Right. Yeah. It's tough when you're coming from afar. So thank you for these wonderful questions. I think in if there's nothing else that's coming, take a few minutes and take a look at your schedule. We encourage you to visit all of our individual booths with all the programs that are on offer. Our colleagues are there. They're super excited to welcome you and tell you more about the individual programs and what you could do as a Carleton Science student. So once again, welcome. We're so glad to have you here today and enjoy the rest of your time here on the Air Meet.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.